When a man is into you, he's not going to walk up and say it. That almost never happens. Instead, he's going to do these little things, these tiny moves that happen so fast you'll miss them if you're not paying attention. And here's what messes women up. They're looking for the wrong stuff. They're waiting for him to ask them out or give them some big compliment or make some obvious move. But the real signs, the ones that actually tell you he's attracted, those are happening way before any of that, in little gestures that last like 2 seconds. Gestures most women never even notice. Let me tell you something that's going to change everything for you. A guy who's attracted to you can't hide it. Not really. He thinks he can. He thinks he's playing it cool, acting normal, not giving anything away. But his body's telling on him the whole time. These gestures just slip out. He doesn't even know he's doing them. And if you know what to watch for, you can see exactly how he feels about you without him saying a single word. But here's the thing. Most women have no clue what to look for. They miss it completely. And then they end up confused as hell. They're sitting there going, does he like me? I can't tell. He's so hard to read. When really he's been showing them the whole time. They just didn't see it because nobody ever told them what secret attraction actually looks like. What it looks like when a guy's feeling it but trying to keep it under wraps. And this is what really gets me. Women miss these gestures and it screws everything up. They waste months on guys who aren't into them because they're reading things wrong, or they walk away from guys who are crazy about them because they think nothing's there, because they didn't catch the signs, because they were looking in the wrong places. Here's the real deal. When a man's secretly attracted to you, there are 7 gestures he makes, 7 little things his body does without asking his permission. And I'm going to break down every single one because once you know these, once you start seeing them, you'll never wonder where you stand with a guy again. His body's going to tell you everything his mouth won't. Some of these gestures happen in like 1 second, blink and you miss it. But that 1 second tells you more than an hour of conversation. Some of these you can only catch if you're watching at the right moment. And one of them, the 7th one, it's so obvious once you know it that you'll see it everywhere. That 7th gesture is basically him waving a giant flag that says, I'm into you, without him even realizing he's doing it. But most women, they treat all guys the same. They don't pay attention to these details, and that's why they end up stuck, wondering, waiting, hoping something happens that's never going to come, or missing something real because they couldn't read what was right in front of them. Let's get into the first gesture. And trust me, this one's going to make you rethink every conversation you've ever had with a guy you liked. Here's what happens. You're talking. Could be about anything. Work, weekend plans, some random story, doesn't matter. And while you're talking, his body turns toward you. Not just his face, his whole body. His shoulders, his chest, his feet, everything points at you like you're the only person in the room. Now, most women don't even register this. They're focused on what he's saying, what they're saying, the actual conversation. But what's happening with his body? That's where the truth is. Because here's the thing. When a guy's just being polite, just making conversation, his body stays casual. He might look at you, sure. But his body's loose. It's angled away. It's open to the room. He's keeping himself available to other people, other conversations. But when he's attracted, his body closes off everything else. It's like you're a magnet, and his whole body's turning toward you without him telling it to. His feet point at you. His shoulders square up to you. If you're sitting, his knees point your way. Everything about his body language is saying, you're what matters right now. Let me tell you what's going on in his head when this happens. He's not thinking, okay, I'm going to turn my body toward her. It's automatic. His focus is so locked on you that his body just follows. Because when you're attracted to someone, you want to be closer. You want to face them. You want to block out everyone and everything else. And his body's doing that for him before his brain even catches up. Here's what women get wrong about this gesture. They think it's just good manners. They think he's just being a good listener. And yeah, okay, good listeners do face you, but there's a difference between polite attention and attraction attention. Polite attention is flexible. He'll turn toward you, then turn away when someone else talks, then back to you. It moves around. Attraction attention, that's locked. He turns toward you and stays there. Even when other people talk, even when there's other stuff happening around you, his body doesn't want to move. Now here's the part that's really going to mess with your head. Watch where his body goes when he's not talking to you. If you're in a group and he's talking to someone else, does his body stay turned toward them or does it angle back toward you? A guy who's attracted will keep finding ways to face you even when you're not the one talking. His body keeps pulling back to you like it can't help itself. Here's the brutal truth. If a guy's body never fully turns toward you, if he's always kind of angled away, if his feet are pointed somewhere else, if his shoulders stay open to the room, he's not feeling it. He might like you as a person. He might enjoy talking to you. But that pull, that magnetic thing that makes him orient his whole body toward you, it's not there. Now let me tell you about the second gesture, because this one's even more sneaky. This is the gesture that happens so fast, most women don't even see it. But once you know it's there, you'll catch it every time. Okay, this next gesture is wild because it happens in like half a second, but it tells you everything. You walk into a room, could be a party, could be work, could be anywhere. And the second you come in, before you even see him, his eyes find you. Not in a creepy, staring way. Just this quick thing where his eyes go straight to you the moment you show up. And here's the kicker. He might look away right after, like he doesn't want you to catch him looking. But that split second, that first glance, that's pure instinct. That's his body looking for you before his brain even tells it to. Let me break down why this happens. When a guy's attracted to you, you're on his radar, like actually on his radar. His brain's keeping track of where you are, whether you're there or not, when you might show up. It's not conscious. He's not sitting there thinking, I wonder when she'll get here. But some part of him is aware. Some part of him is paying attention. And when you walk in, that part lights up and his eyes go to you automatically. Here's what this looks like in real life. You walk into a room and within seconds, maybe before you even spot him, you feel eyes on you. You look over and there he is, looking at you. But the second you make eye contact, he looks away. Or he looks at you and gives you this quick smile or nod, then goes back to whatever he was doing. That's the gesture. That instant awareness that you just arrived. Now here's what women mess up with this one. They think it's coincidence. They think, oh, he just happened to look over when I walked in. But here's the thing, test it, pay attention over multiple times. If every single time you show up somewhere, his eyes find you within the first few seconds, that's not random. That's him tracking you. That's him noticing you before anyone else does. Here's what's going on inside him when this happens. The second you walk in, his heart rate probably goes up a tiny bit, nothing crazy, just enough that his body's like, she's here, and there's this little hit of excitement or nervousness or energy, and his eyes just go to you. But here's what breaks my heart about this gesture. Some women catch it and think, why did he look away so fast? He must not be interested. When really he looked away because he doesn't want to seem obvious. He doesn't want you to think he's been waiting for you. He doesn't want to look too eager, so he plays it cool. But that first look, that was real. That was him not being able to help himself. Now here's the flip side. If you walk into places and he never looks up, never notices, doesn't register that you're there until you're right in front of him, he's not thinking about you. You're not on his radar. But let me tell you about gesture 3. This one happens right in front of you during normal conversation. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Let me paint you a picture. You're talking to him, or you're in a group and someone's telling a story and you say something, could be a joke, could be a comment, could be anything. And watch what he does. Does he laugh? Does he smile? Does his face light up? Here's the thing most women don't get. A guy who's attracted to you thinks you're funnier than you actually are. I'm not saying you're not funny, but he's going to laugh harder at your jokes than other people do. He's going to smile bigger when you talk. He's going to react more because when you're into someone, everything they do seems better. So watch his face when you talk. Does it change? Does he lean in a little? Does he give you this smile that's different from the smile he gives other people? Because a guy who's attracted has a special smile just for you. It's softer. It reaches his eyes more. It lasts a little longer. Here's what's happening inside him. When you talk, he's locked in. He's not thinking about what he's going to say next. He's not half listening while looking at his phone. He's actually there, actually hearing you. And when you say something that he thinks is funny or cute or smart, it hits him different than when other people say stuff. Let me tell you what this looks like versus what it looks like when a guy's not into you. When he's not attracted, you can say something funny and he'll give you a polite smile, maybe a little laugh. But it's even. It's the same reaction he gives everyone. His face doesn't really light up. But when he's into you, your joke gets this big smile. Your comment gets this look like he's really thinking about what you said. Your story gets his full attention and this warmth in his eyes that he's not giving to other people. Now, here's where women mess this up. They compare how he acts with them to how he acts when he's with his boys or people he's super comfortable with. And yeah, he might laugh big with his friends, but watch how he acts with other women, with random people. That's your comparison. And if you're getting more reaction, more face, more light in his eyes than those people, you're different to him. Here's the hard truth. If your jokes fall flat with him, if he barely reacts when you talk, if his face stays blank or distracted, he's not feeling it. Now let me tell you about the fourth gesture. This one's physical. This one's about space. And this one tells you more about how comfortable he is with you than anything else. Here's what happens. You're standing together or sitting near each other. And watch the distance. How close does he get? Because here's the deal. Everyone has this bubble around them, personal space, and we protect it. We don't let just anyone in there. But when a guy's attracted to you, that bubble shrinks. He'll stand closer to you than he needs to, sit closer than is normal, find reasons to get into your space without making it weird. Let me explain what this looks like. You're at a party and there's plenty of room, but he's standing close enough that you can feel his presence. You're sitting on a couch and he sits right next to you when there's other open spots. You're walking and he stays right by your side instead of giving you space. That's the gesture. He's closing distance. Here's what's going on in his body when this happens. Being near you feels good. Simple as that. There's something about your energy, your presence that draws him in, and his body wants to be closer. Now watch what he does with his hands and arms when he's close. Does he ever touch your arm when he's making a point? Does his hand brush yours when you're walking? Does he find these little moments of contact that could be accidents but happen too often to actually be accidents? Because a guy who's attracted is looking for reasons to touch you. Nothing crazy, nothing inappropriate, just these light touches that let him feel connected to you for a second. Here's what women get wrong. They think a guy getting close means he's just comfortable, just friendly. And yeah, comfort is part of it. But there's a difference between friendly close and attracted close. Friendly close still has boundaries, still has space. Attracted close is magnetic. Let me tell you how to test this. Watch how much space he gives other people. Is he standing this close to everyone? Is he sitting right next to other women like this, or is it just you? Because if you're the only one getting this proximity, that's attraction. Here's the brutal truth. If he's always keeping distance, always sitting far away, never getting close, even when there's a reason to, he's not feeling that pull. But let me tell you about gesture 5, because this is where you can see him fighting with himself. See him trying to play it cool while his body's doing something completely different. Okay, this gesture is going to sound weird until I explain it, but once you get it, you'll see it all the time. You're talking. And watch his hands. Watch what he does with them. Does he touch his face, run his hand through his hair, adjust his shirt, mess with his watch or his phone? Because here's what's happening. When a guy's nervous or excited or feeling something strong, his hands get restless. They need something to do. And if he can't touch you, which he can't because that would be too obvious, he's going to touch himself. Let me break this down. A guy who's calm and comfortable, who's not feeling anything, his hands are still, they're in his pockets or holding a drink or just hanging at his sides. But a guy who's attracted, who's got all this energy running through him because you're right there, his hands move, they fidget, they do these little self-soothing things that help him deal with what he's feeling. Here's what this looks like. He's talking to you and his hand goes to his hair, not like he's trying to style it, just this quick thing where he runs his fingers through it or touches the back of his head. Or he rubs his jaw, or he adjusts his collar, or he keeps picking up his drink and putting it down. These tiny movements that show you his energy's up. Now here's what's wild. He probably doesn't even know he's doing it. If you asked him, hey, why do you keep touching your face? He'd probably look at you confused because it's unconscious. It's his body's way of handling the fact that you're making him feel something. Here's what women miss about this. They think fidgeting means he's bored or distracted. They think if he was really into them, he'd be still and focused. But it's the opposite. Too still means nothing's happening inside him. Movement means energy, means something's going on. Let me tell you the difference between nervous fidgeting and attracted fidgeting. Nervous fidgeting is everywhere. He's looking around, shifting his weight, messing with everything. Attracted fidgeting is focused. The movements are small, they're around his face and hair, and they happen more when you're talking. Here's the truth that's hard to hear. If his hands are completely still around you, if there's zero fidgeting, zero movement, zero restless energy, he's too comfortable. And too comfortable means friend zone. Now let me tell you about the sixth gesture, because this one's different from the others. The other ones are about his body giving him away. This one's about what he does on purpose, about choices he makes. Here's what to watch for. When you're talking, really talking, not just small talk, but actual conversation, does he ask you questions? Real questions. Questions that show he's paying attention to what you're saying and wants to know more. Questions about your life, your thoughts, your feelings, your story. Because here's the thing, a guy who's just physically attracted might be into how you look, but a guy who's actually interested in you as a person, he wants to know you, and asking questions is how he does that. Let me show you what this looks like. You mention something about your job and he asks follow-up questions, not just, oh, cool and moving on, actually curious. You talk about your family and he remembers details and asks about them later. You share something you care about and he digs deeper, wants to understand why it matters to you. That's the gesture. Here's what's going on in his head. When a guy's attracted and interested, he's building a picture of who you are. He's collecting information, not in a weird way, in a I want to understand this person way, because the more he knows, the more he can connect with you. Now, here's what women get wrong about this. They think all guys ask questions, but they don't. Most guys, if they're just physically attracted, they'll talk about themselves. They'll talk about surface stuff. They'll keep it light. They won't dig. Let me tell you the difference between polite questions and attracted questions. Polite questions are generic. How was your weekend? What do you do? Attracted questions are specific. You said you were stressed about that project. How'd it go? What made you want to get into that field? See the difference? One's just filling silence. The other's actually trying to know you. Here's the secret. A guy who asks questions and actually listens to the answers, who remembers what you said and brings it up later, who builds on conversations instead of starting from zero every time, that guy's not just attracted to your looks. He's attracted to you, the whole package. But here's the hard truth. If he never asks you anything real, if conversations stay surface level, if he doesn't remember things you've told him, if he's not curious about your life, he's not that interested. Now let me tell you about the seventh gesture. This is the big one. This is the gesture that makes everything else make sense. And once you see this, you'll know for absolute certain that he's attracted. Here's the thing about this last gesture. It's so simple, so obvious, but most women still miss it because they're not looking at the right thing. Watch his eyes, not where they go when he's talking to you. That's easy. Of course he looks at you during conversation. Watch where his eyes go when he thinks you're not paying attention, when you're looking away, when you're talking to someone else, when you're doing literally anything and his guard's down because he thinks you won't notice. Here's what happens. You look away for a second and his eyes stay on you. You turn to talk to someone else and he's still watching. You're doing something, anything, and you catch him looking at you out of the corner of your eye. That's the gesture. That's him looking at you when he doesn't think you'll catch him. Let me explain why this matters so much. When we're attracted to someone, we can't stop looking at them. It's like they're magnetic. Even when they're not doing anything special, even when they're just existing, we want to watch them, want to see them. And when we think nobody's going to notice, we let ourselves stare. Here's what's going on in his head when this happens. He's not thinking, I should look at her now. He's just drawn to you. His eyes go to you automatically. And because you're not looking at him, because he thinks it's safe, he lets himself really look. Takes you in, watches how you move, how you laugh, how you are when you're just being yourself. Now here's how you catch this. You can feel it. You know that feeling when someone's watching you, that little awareness on the back of your neck. Trust that. And when you feel it, don't whip your head around. Just glance quick and see where his eyes are. If they're on you, if he looks away fast when you catch him, if there's this split second of, oh shit, she noticed, that's the gesture. That's pure, unfiltered attraction. Here's what women miss about this. They catch him looking once and think it's nothing, but it's never once. If he's attracted to you, this is happening all the time, multiple times every time you're together. You're just not catching it every time. Let me tell you what this means. A guy who can't stop looking at you when you're not looking at him is a guy who's thinking about you, who's interested, who's attracted not just to how you look, but to you as a person. Here's the thing. About all 7 of these gestures, they're not things a guy decides to do. They're not moves. They're not game. They're reactions, automatic responses his body makes when he's around someone he's attracted to. And that's why they matter, because they're honest, they're real. He can't fake them. He can't turn them off. So here's where we are. You now know the 7 gestures a guy makes when he's secretly attracted to you. His body turns toward you. His eyes find you the second you walk in. His face lights up when you talk. He gets close to you, closer than he needs to. His hands fidget because he's got all this energy. He asks you real questions because he wants to know you. And he looks at you when he thinks you're not watching. And once you start seeing these, once you know what to look for, you'll never wonder again. Because his body's going to tell you everything. You won't have to guess, won't have to ask your friends, won't have to sit there confused about whether he likes you or not. You'll just know. The guy who turns his body away from you, who never notices when you show up, whose face stays blank when you talk, who keeps his distance, whose hands stay still, who never asks you anything real, and who never looks at you unless you're looking at him first. He's not attracted. And that sucks, but at least you know. But the guy who does these 7 things, who can't help his body from giving him away? That guy's into you. Maybe he hasn't said it yet. Maybe he's scared. Maybe he's waiting for the right moment. But the attraction's there, real and obvious if you know where to look.